My name is Jonathan Graziano, and I'm a marketing manager at GoDaddy. I've been a part of this community since its inception, and I am so excited to see all of you here. I'm excited to hear from Emma today. It has been a minute since we have gotten an update from you, and I'm really looking forward to it. We'll end with Emma, but I'll popcorn over to Patrick.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you. Hello, Emma. Long time, long time.
I know.
Wonderful to see everybody.
So
Patrick Kagan, CEO of PK Solutions Group. We specialize in sales and sales leadership and getting you unstuck in your revenue sticking points. I'll popcorn it back over to Chris, my friend in sales.
Well, thank you. I'm Chris Castanis. I am an insurance agent here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I have Surf Financial Brokers. And I've just written my second book on sales, working on that one, trying to get it out there. And thanks to everybody in the group that supported me. Some of you guys contributed a little bit, and appreciate it. And I guess I'm going to send this over to Alicia.
Hey everybody, I work with Jonathan. So I'm on the GoDaddy side, and I've recently in the last year taken on social. So I've been really excited to join the community here and learn what you all are doing. Previously I was running the blog and a little bit of YouTube starting around this time last year. But yeah, Jonathan is awesome, and I am so stoked to meet all of you. I've been to one meetup previously and met with a couple of you individually, and yeah, I'm just excited to learn from all of you, and really excited to hear your presentation, Emma.
I work with GoDaddy, so I work with Alicia. I've actually never said it out loud, so. And Jonathan, I work on the social media team, so I'm here, I'm listening. I'll try and chime in as much as I can.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Emma. Good to see everybody. I'm Johnny Romero. I am owner, principal of Intersys LLC. We are a language service provider, or LSP, and I am based in Golden, Colorado, but travel, and I'm currently in Portugal, and I am multilingual, speak Spanish and Portuguese now. And in addition to that, I also do a bit of social media now, just to share my passion. And so we also have another GoDaddy actually site that is the J3 Collab Project, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, specifically for minorities, Hispanic, Latino, African American, and women-owned businesses. So I'm happy to be here, and good to see everybody. Thanks for the invitation. And shout out to Adam. Hope you feel better.
Hello. I'm really excited for this Living with Music. I can't wait to see, especially with the preview of those dancers that you put on LinkedIn. I'm very excited. So I work in the data industry, and I help brands to improve their marketing outcomes. It's nice to be here. And now Emma.
That's right. Oh, we have one more person. Should we
Oh, yes, Mel, you made it just in time. If we're just finished up. No, that's great. We just finished up introductions, and then we're going to get started with a presentation. So you are bringing up the rear, Mel.
Okay, well, I am. What kind of introductions? Like,
oh, just who
name,
you
where
are,
we live,
what you do, yeah, where you live. That'd be great.
Okay, I am Mel VK, because saying Van Claveren is too hard and definitely can't spell it. So Mel VK. I live in Arizona, and I am the social media manager at GoDaddy. And I have been with GoDaddy for 18 years. So I basically say I grew up GoDaddy.
Truly,
That's
truly
me.
a veteran of the company. But it's so nice to have all of you here today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us and to join this amazing presentation we are going to have from Emma Laurence. Emma, I would love for you to introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about what you're going to share with us today.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Emma Laurence. I'm certified as a life coach. And about 7 years ago, I began Life is Coaching You, trying to help people see kind of the rhythm of life and the rhythm of work and how to be able to ride that rhythm actually better. And I ended up going into specializing in burnout. And I'm an author. I wrote the Beyond Burnout Playbook. I've been working with people for the last few years who are burned out, trying to step out of maybe a place they work that's not working for them. It's not really in harmony with them. Some of those big companies worked with people who've been laid off, worked with people who decided to leave. And working with burnout's great. And I recently just expanded to basically all life transitions. So I work coaching wise with all life transitions. And I also work within a business collective called Changing Work. And within Changing Work, I'm sort of the creative arts person. I co-lead a creative arts cohort. Can we bring the creative arts into business in some way? Can we help expand conscious business and business practices to bring more compassion into the business world, more humanize the business world? And can we somehow do that through the creative arts? So, and as a creative artist, I'm a singer. I sing with Jazz Love. It's a trio now. Myself, keyboard and a horn player, trumpet and flugelhorn here in the Minneapolis area. And I'm here in Minneapolis for the last 5 years after decades in New York City and working there as a performer, actress, and singer and teacher and educator. So that's a little bit about me. However, my latest joy and passion that Adam and I had a conversation about, and the reason I'm here today is that I've been writing this blog. I started writing a blog called Living as Music. This is connecting music and sound with our daily life, how to live our daily life more easily, how to navigate life more easily through the art and science of sound. So this is an exploration. I am just beginning it. When I first got this epiphany last fall, I was writing a book about it and then realized I need to get this out now. It needs to be in short little bits. I need to get it out and start to explore it with other people. So thank you for joining here today, because it is an ongoing discovery. And I also very much want to hear your experience with music and your experience with sound. Should I keep going, Jonathan?
Well, I've got a quick question for you. So yes, so I would love
Yes.
you. This is your show. I would love to just hear again whatever you have prepared for us today. But you've just said a lot already that I just wanted to touch on, and I won't take up too much of your time asking these questions.
Please.
You've got so much going on, and
Yeah.
you've taken so much on, and you've always been someone who has really taken initiative with your own life and going after things that you really want. And I know you've worked for a long time with you as a coach. You worked with millennials for a very long time, very specifically. I want to talk a little bit about the burnout, because I think that'll help drive the conversation into sound and figuring out how that directly relates to the work you're doing with burnout. I'm just curious to know, especially because we've had a couple conversations in this community the past few days, or the past few meetings, about how the year started off a little rocky for some of us. We didn't necessarily have the motivation we wanted to, and I can't say that it would specifically be burnout, but there were definitely some warning signs. I'm wondering if you could talk at all about like the state of burnout right now and where you're seeing it most, and what sort of things small business owners or people who are kind of taking care of, their own finances, are running their own business. What are some things that they can do? And if this goes into your presentation, that's perfect. But what are some things that they can do to just to pull back and to kind of get their footing again?
To pull back from
pull back was perhaps the wrong phrasing, but to kind of get their head out of the waterfall and start believing in themselves again and feel motivated.
Yeah. It's so hard when we get to that point of burnout, because we just feel like we don't have the energy, or as you said, the motivation. That to me is that sign of disconnect from our own rhythm, which is part of the work that I'm now developing. Disconnect from harmony. Maybe we're trying too much to be part of this frantic world rather than harmonizing with our own heart. You know, that can happen.
Yeah.
It's the pace at which we live. The pace at which we live is crazy fast, and things keep coming at us from all directions. And so finding the pace that's sustainable, sustainability is a big thing for burnout.
Yeah.
So is joy, so is creativity. We can, as we connect with what brings joy to us. Just this morning, for example, I am waking up and it's, you know, it's daylight starting to come outside the window. And I have the window open just a little bit because my cat likes to get up on the sill, you know, and smell the fresh air.
Yeah.
And we hear a bird for the first time. We hear a bird singing for the first time. First time meaning it's all winter, we don't hear the birds. Just that sound alone for me is joyful. So even if I've woken up feeling groggy or whatever, I hear this sound, it's uplifting.
Yeah.
When we're burned out, we need to be uplifted. We need to surround ourselves with the things that bring us joy. Use our creativity, whatever connection we have to cooking or surfing or painting, hiking, anything that we do that can sort of recharge us will help.
Yeah.
We gather the people around us who can help, lean into those people who can help. And then, as I said, this pace is very important in burnout.
Yeah. I really, really appreciate that, because I think what it speaks so much to is this shift in mindset from you have to do the work, just, you know, suck it up and do it,
Yeah.
versus, yes, you know, you've committed to something, you want to see it through, but you've got to take care of yourself.
Yes.
You've got to be able to remember the person who does the driving. You've got to
Yeah.
take care of that person. And I
Yes.
think that probably goes, you know, very seamlessly into living as music. And I've heard you mention these words very often in this presentation: rhythm and harmony. And I
Yes.
think we're all very familiar with those words, but you say them in very intentional ways. And I'm very curious to hear, I read your most recent blog post, but I'm very curious to hear you speak specifically to what living as music is for you.
Yeah. So living as music is the discovery. I hope that I keep asking that question and that all my readers keep asking that question. What is living as music? What is it? How do I live in harmony with life? How do I navigate the crescendos and decrescendos of life? We have these ups and downs. That's what, you know, that's what our daily life is about. But how can we ride them with more grace, with more confidence? And how can we make it easier? I really am all about making it easier for people to navigate their daily world. So it's finding our natural rhythm that is sustainable is part of that. It's part of, as I said, navigating in harmony with your own heart, knowing what your own heart is and really following that. I mean, no matter what anybody says, you know, and I know sometimes that means changes for people. Sometimes that means, gosh, I'm not in the right job. I have to find another job within this company. Or it means I have to find another company whose values match mine more, you know, or, hey, I know I need to go into business for myself. It's time. I need to go into that and grow that for myself. You know, all of these things are what we face. It's also a lot about listening and playing our part in the larger part of life, you know, larger symphony, if you will, of life, and doing that confidently. And that means I do get to speak up when I need to speak up for myself. This is part of the self-care, you know, when I need to do that. And I also know when I need silence and rest, because music is the notes, but it's also the rest. Yeah. So there's all these lessons we can learn from music that help us find our way more easily. We want to ultimately, don't we all want to tune in to that best life? Don't we want to tune into that?
Yeah.
And what does that take? You know,
Totally.
does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I mean, it's an exploration, right? It's a
Yes.
daily practice. It's something that
Yes.
you have to, it's a lifestyle you have to, you know, you have to undertake, and it's a mentality. And I really appreciate everything that you've said, because I can't, I just think of day to day what I do, talking with, specifically with small business owners, with people who, I don't know anyone who speaks out loudly for themselves quite like someone who goes into business for themselves, or someone who says, I have, you, for example, I have a gift to share with people. I have a service that I can provide. You spent your entire life as a musician, as an artist, and then you've taken that experience and your experience, having your own business, and you've put them together, and you've created, for lack of a better word, harmony between so much of your experience and what you're doing right now. I think an important question, I am taking notes, I'm writing a lot of stuff down. I'm trying to be my very best Adam Griggs. One of the questions that I have for you is, I think a lot of times people want to, like you say, they want to tune in, they want to live that best life. They want to follow what their heart truly wants. And I liked how adamantly you said that, through hell or high water, that's what you owe yourself. Yeah. How do you find that? How does someone find that? I feel like a lot of times, and I think of my experience where I feel like, people will say, trust your gut. And I'll go, okay, but my gut is telling me, I feel like it's telling me 5 different things right now, or I am scared to take that leap. How do you find that true north within yourself? And then how do you get the courage to follow it?
Boy, isn't that the question? I mean, really, isn't that the question? So let me answer the second question first, which is the courage piece, I believe, is in small pieces every day. Every time we have a small victory, every time we stand up, every time we do something to take care of ourselves, even when everyone's saying, no, your social obligation, your business obligation is here. And you know that you need you time, you need it. Every time that we do something that scares us a little bit, all of those things are so courageous, and those add up. They really do add up. How do we find that? We've got to be able to calm ourselves down. And this is often where music can come in and really help. Music is being used in healing a lot now, and it's just being explored. But music, for example, a colleague of mine's daughter had a head injury. Part of her prescription for healing was to listen to music to recover from a head injury. Okay. There are sound frequencies for the last 12 years. There've been sound frequencies explored that can destroy cancer cells. I mean, we're talking about a science as well as an art here. Okay. So all of these things that can help us to find our best life, that can heal the place within us that feels panicked or feels like it has to conform to what's outside of us. And this is what millennials have woken up to. And God bless millennial generation for saying, no, thank you. I want a balance between my life and my work. And I need to be whole and complete and not fragmented. Like you're saying, these 5 different voices, these 10 different voices, oh my gosh, let me stop, slow down, and listen to myself. And for some people, that's getting out in nature. That helps them find that frequency of resonance. And in fact, maybe people can put in the chat what they do to find that calm place, that place where I'm getting in touch with who I am and what's most important here, so I can make wise decisions. It is part gut instinct. It is part, I wrote a piece on human sonar. It's like finding your way through echolocation, finding your way. Amy's saying, I read about this, music wakes up dementia patients. They start dancing exactly. They do a shuffle walk. Jonathan, you go on a walk by the water, love it. Yeah, I just came back from being near the ocean. I'm the same way. Yep. The water thing really does help me too. The forest, deep forest helps. But we need to take that initiative to slow our vibrations down enough so we can hear what's really true.
Yeah. I really appreciate everything you've said, because what it boils down to, I think, is being really open to those changes that have to be made, right? Yes. Even if they're in your best interest, and they're in your best interest, it's uncomfortable to be uncomfortable. And that was sounds a bit remedial to say, but it's something that I've been talking a lot with my, I've just been thinking about a lot lately with my own life and some big decisions I've had to make about being uncomfortable is a part of life. These things happen that are out of our control that we just have to deal with. And then there are things within our control that give us a semblance of, okay, I can take care of this at least. But it's really hard sometimes to open yourself up to being uncomfortable and for the unknown, right? For whatever that is.
Yeah.
How would you say that someone could, again, I'm very curious to know about like people just getting started on this journey. How would someone really acquaint themselves with the kind of mentality that you
Yes.
are sharing with us? Because it's we all, you know, reading what Amy has written and what Alicia has written, like we know a lot about the like the reality of sound and the way it affects our bodies and the way it you know, affects things around us. I'm even thinking of like white noises. Like I can't sleep without a fan. I can't sleep without a fan. And I live in New York City and it's so loud every day. And I'll go home to my mom's house in the suburbs and I'll just be like, I need a cat screaming outside. I need this. Otherwise it's too quiet, right? It's the
Where's the
absence.
siren? Yeah.
Exactly. Where is the sign? Where is the papaya truck? It's 5:45 in the morning and it's quiet. I hate this.
Yeah.
How would
Yeah.
someone go about
Yeah.
starting to embrace that?
Yeah.
How would they
Yeah.
go about practicing that? What sort of
Yeah.
steps can someone take to go, you know what? I need to work to get to this place because you've done the work. You have done the work. And I can imagine that the work, you know, the great work continues, right? It's a never ending kind. It's a tower that you build perpetually. But how would
Yes.
someone get started here if they really don't know where to go?
Yeah, it's such an interesting question. I'm glad you asked it, Jonathan, because when I first started writing the blog, I thought, oh my gosh, where am I going to begin to even help people understand what I'm talking about, you know, and what's possible. And I got that day in my email box a short video. Can I play it for you? It is the Milky Way Symphony. And it was, here's the entry point, okay? We live in this world, we live in this universe where sound, we see the stars, but have you ever heard them? So she sent me this 1-minute video that if you, I don't know who has to give me permission.
I believe I can do that.
Okay, good. And I'll share my screen and I'll play this for you because
yes, please.
this is one way, and then I'll tell you who had this. This is my.
There, you should be able to share now.
Okay, share sound. Let's go to here. Let me see if I can get to here. Okay.
Yes, there it is.
Great. Okay. So this is, okay, so what happened here? NASA scientists teamed up with musicians to take a photograph that came from a telescope, the Chandra X Observatory, and turn the light waves into sound waves. And here's what they got.
That was something. That was something else. I've got like goosebumps.
This, and one of the readers of my blog wrote to me. She said, this is what I did. At night, for some reason, I remembered this sound. And she said, I was falling asleep, letting go of all of my thoughts and the clutter of my mind into that sound. I was just letting everything go into that sound. And I fell asleep and had such a peaceful night's sleep. This is just one little tiny 1-minute example of what we can do to help start calming ourselves down, for example, so that we can hear.
Yeah.
She wakes up in a different state. Another example that I can show you is from Jacob Collier. Does anybody know Jacob Collier? Like the musician who is doing the, oh my God, he's a multi-Grammy winner. He is doing harmonies with his audience. And just see how, where is mine? Okay. Let me show you this. Okay. This is Jacob Collier.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
You know Jacob.
This morning, he showed up on my TikTok feed. This morning, I'd never heard of him before. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't believe
Okay, watch
this.
what he does.
It's amazing how I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, here's the thing, is that I'm finding things like this in both the art and the science of sound. This is extraordinary to me,
Yeah.
right? And then I'm saying, look, you can do this in your life too. So let's say that you're at a meeting and there's dissonance and disharmony in the meeting. You don't have to even conduct it, but you can listen for the commonality in the meeting and say, we all agree on this one thing. We all agree on this one thing. And you know what? Harmony starts with a single note. Before it's built, it's actually not hard to do what he's doing. It looks complicated, but it's not. It's like harmony starts with one note. So if you're in disagreement, disharmony, find the one thing you can agree on within the group or the family or whatever it is, organization, and establish that. And then find the other things that are in harmony. It's another example is like, let's say you're a waitress. And as a waitress, you begin to notice how things have to work in harmony, from the chefs to the servers to the patrons. There has to be a rhythm to it. There has to be a harmony to it. And even you noticing that changes your community. We have so much power to change our community just by noticing, just by listening to the sound of things, noticing the rhythm of things.
Yeah.
And that will shift organizations, it will shift teams, it will shift families, it will shift relationships, just by being aware of it.
Yeah. And being able to take, what some might think of as a conflict or as an issue, and sort of just shift your perspective on it to think that this is just something that is not yet harmonized. And it can be, right? That idea that it's not necessarily a problem as much as it's just something that isn't where it needs to be just yet. And the way you can apply that in all aspects of your life, is so powerful. And I'm wondering, do you, and you've touched on this already, so I think I already know the answer, but I'm curious to hear you unpack it a little bit more. Do you feel like there are people who crave inspiration in business? And how can music and art how can music and art create better leaders? How can it make a direct impact on how you show up every day, the work you put out, how you communicate, all of these things? And then I just want to remind everyone quickly that you please feel free if you have any questions. We're vibing, but if you have any questions or you want to jump in, this is a dialogue, so please feel free to raise your hand. But yes, that was my question.
Yes, please do, because I would love to hear your experience with music or sound. I know, Johnny, you work with language. I mean, that's also sound, from one thing to another. And, all of you work in sales, it's the same thing. You're listening to the customer, you're listening and creating that vibrational platform, harmony with each other. Your question, Jonathan, is something we are exploring in the Changing Work Collective. So I am co-leading this group of people who have, some of whom have already brought music and theater into the business world, music and theater and art into the business world. And what we're doing right now is talking to business leaders about what problems and challenges they're facing. And we're talking amongst each other about what has already worked. Like Lego Serious Play. Have you heard of Lego Serious Play, right? So you go in, build things with Legos in teams, and you can work with a corporate team that way, for example. That's kind of bringing in art and color and fun and that kind of thing. I know someone who has done playback theater within corporations, where the company, the leaders give the team what the problem is, and the actors act it out. They take on the different roles of the problem in the company. Yeah. And so you get to watch, again, here's that stepping back you were talking about. You get to watch the problem play out and then suggest solutions, and then the actors will act those out.
What an amazing way to shift perspective.
Yeah.
Amazing way to shift. You made me think. We had we at GoDaddy, we worked with, we interviewed someone a little while ago who is an improviser. He trained at UCB. And this is what you just made me think of. He goes around and he'll do corporate meetings, and they'll use the improv art as an exercise to help people get better at reacting to customer questions and building, confidence in thinking on the fly. That is so interesting. That's really, really cool that they do that.
Yeah. So there are lots of ways to do this, and do this with, when we're exploring it, because we want to begin to put things together that we can offer to companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely want to change work from the inside out. And, that's in that kind of setting. It's not, when you're a small business, it's all you. You're like, it's me. I'm a solopreneur, or with my small team that I have. But everyone you interact with, that's music. You're interacting, everything is vibrational. So you know how it is when you get a vibe. You walk into a place, walk into a restaurant, for example, and you walk into a restaurant and you're like, I don't like the vibe of this place. I'm going somewhere else. What
Yeah.
is that? Well, there's a vibrational aspect to it. There's something going on there, right? You go into another place, you have a great meal because the vibe is right. Maybe, you know, people are happy in there. Maybe it's
Yeah.
playing the kind of music you like. I was in a store, I won't name what store it was, but yesterday the music was so disharmonious to me. I knew I wasn't going to buy anything in there. I knew
Yeah.
I was. But anyway, Johnny's got his hand up and I like,
Yeah.
setting.
It's so interesting. And Johnny, I'm gonna call on you in a second. You made me think again of, I think this also speaks a lot to like the idea of professionalism, and something that I think about a lot of the times, where I'll go to a fancy Italian restaurant and it's delicious and it's great. But my favorite Italian restaurant in New York City is the tiny one in the Lower East Side, where the kitchen are two old Italian women who you can hear yelling at each other from. You have to walk through the kitchen and get to the bathroom. And the menu's much smaller, but you said the vibrations, it's the place you want to be. And that idea of, we expect a fine dining experience, we expect things to go a certain way, but showing up as a human, showing up as someone just as they are with their own vibrations, I feel like that for me, that's very powerful. But Johnny, I'd love to hear from you.
Please.
I think, you know, there's a lot of, you know, ways that this transitions to communication. You know, when learning a language, for example, is very phonetic. I think many people focus on understanding words and meanings, and that's all important. But really, the pronunciation, in my opinion, is where you start. So it's all phonetic. You know, you make sounds, you trill your R's if you're, you know, talking about Spanish, and then there's some nasally and almost, you know, phlegm invoked sounds in Portuguese and other languages, right? That are very much awkward and sound silly when you're practicing them as a novice to become a proficient. But I think the metaphor is great. I think there's definitely it's very vibrational in the sense, literally and figuratively. When we interpret, for those that are not of, you know, or the monolingual, it's very much an illustration I use as of like a conductor of an orchestra, because the interpreter is there to really keep the harmony of the session, so that the individuals speaking through an interpreter as a conduit are able to feel as if the interpreter isn't even in the room. That's really the biggest compliment for an interpreter, is when you finish a session and they look at you and they say, oh, I forgot you were even here, because the fluidity of the way that the interpreter interpreted, and they felt as if it was just the two of them, and that's the way it should be. That's the goal. You know, that's really the measurement, in my opinion, of you reaching the pinnacle of what you want. And to do that, there is a lot of adjustment. You know, everyone has their cadence, right? You know, using that term it very appropriately, of, you know, soft talkers, loud talkers, fast talkers, slow talkers, right? There is no right talker. It is just a different way of communication. An interpreter needs to be able to insert themselves and have, you know, manage the flow of a session, is what we say, in a way that is not really obstruse, interrupting or obstructing the communication, but allowing everybody to communicate in their own words, from the heart, without any type of, filter. And that takes, it's an art. It really is. It's understanding the language, the culture, and everything that goes involved with that. Why someone may be, in someone's opinion, yelling, but to them, that's just how they talk,
Yeah.
right? And so all of those things are very fitting. I think, you know, music itself, you know, I love, you know, what you just demonstrated. I am very much, you know, when I am working, I try to just have some sound, to Jonathan's point, if I can, like jazz. I love jazz. I love instrumentals, all these different things that can provoke me and motivate me, inspire me to do things where I'm not being distracted per se by something that's, well, I do listen to music that's sung, but when I'm working in certain projects, just having the instrumentals in the background, which is actually something I did even on my YouTube channel. I have like a consecutive, like 160 minutes of just continuous jazz for those that are like translating, because that's very, you know, again, burns your brain out, talking about burnout, to have something in the background that can be soothing as someone's trying to find the words to translate a book or a project, whatever they're working on, because music is very powerful in that way. And I think when we're working in these fields where it's very cerebral, it's important to have a tool, tactic, or what do you want to call it, an exercise that allows you to be effective and continue to take care of yourself at the same time. Because we talk about self-care as well with interpretation, because there is such things as second hand trauma. We have we interpret for people that go through very serious traumatic events, and there's transference that happens with that, right? And we become either triggered because we've had something that has happened to us, or it could just be that it just triggers us just because what we've been listening to, interpreting through someone else's experience. So you have all these transference and counter transference and all these different things, but I just want to say it's very fitting, and it's a great way, I think, as business, the last thing I'll say, as business owners, to understand that harmony in business with partnerships and how we interact with people. I think whether they recognize it as what you're describing or not, it is exactly that. I think sometimes you find individuals that just really aren't aligned correctly. And it just could be either, I need to find a different orchestra to be a part of, or a different conductor, or maybe I just need to make some adjustments so that I can support the greater good of what this is all about. But I think whether you're doing it from the inside or out, it helps you really reflect on what exactly am I contributing, and am I in the place that I really want to be? So that's all I'll say.
Wow. Woo! That's all you'll say. Wow, that was fabulous. Thank you so much. I'm working on a piece right now about interspecies music. There's Elephant World in Thailand, where there's a musician who has an upright piano. He brings in to where the elephants are, and they come and they have their trunks and they're making their sounds while he's playing the keyboard, and that's what reminded me of what you just said of, sometimes we can feel like we're just talking with elephants or something, but you can find that higher, bigger picture, or as you said, you say this isn't quite working and we move on. But everything you said about language and interpreters, thank you so much for sharing that story, because it never occurred to me. But of course, you guys are doing really special work.
Kept thinking
Really good
about
stuff.
the word that kept coming to mind was harmony. The idea when you were talking about how there was the goal of an interpreter is that, the best case scenario is that people don't really recognize that they're there. And it's not so much that that's, it's not that you don't want this person to be recognized for what they do, but it made me think of choirs where, again, way back to me, it made me think of choirs where you don't want to hear the one individual person. It all is supposed to blend together. That's the whole intention. Is it's not that these people aren't all exceptional. It's that the whole point is that it's supposed to work together. That's the way that this will sound the best. This is the way that this will be executed in the most effective way. And it is to really, and Emma, I get so excited now hearing about all of this work that you're doing, because it's interesting to think about what I thought of living as music before this conversation, and as I think about it now, with especially hearing from Johnny and thinking about all of these different ways that you can even think about what is music, what is rhythm, what is harmony, and using those words and associating them within some of the things that we think of for business, right? Going back to conflict, going back to communication, going back to Johnny, as you said, like someone is yelling, I'm pulling something from that. I'm taking, I'm reading into some subtext of that, but that might not be right. That just might be something you have to learn about. That just might be something you have to be open to learning, that it's not that they're yelling, it's that there's a communication issue, or there is just there's an intention issue. And I really do. I just think that's so powerful and such an important way to go about looking at things. we've got about 10 minutes left of our call today. And I want to continue to hear from you, but I want to make sure to open the floor. And if anyone has any thoughts they want to share, they have any questions, any stories they want to relate to this conversation, I would be so keen to hear it. Otherwise, Emma, I do have a couple more questions from you, but I'll wait and see if anyone wants to chime in.
Well, Adam just posted this, human sonar is real and powerful. I don't know, Adam, if you have the strength to talk about it. I use music sometimes to share how others have made me feel stronger, closer, trusted. There are just some things that are the right music can convey when words or an email text cannot. That's really beautiful. One of the things that I was going to ask you guys is, have you ever had that experience of saying to someone, it's so good to hear your voice? Maybe you haven't heard from a friend in a while or something, but it is just so good to hear your voice. That too is part of what we're talking about, you know.
I love
Yeah, well, let's hear from Amy though, yeah?
Yeah, the emotional resonance of sound is one of those senses that gets in your bones.
Yeah.
Amy, yes, let's hear from Amy.
So there was so much stuff that was said today that resonated with me that I just absolutely loved. So thank you all for everything. I know Emma was talking a lot, but I was reading the chat and I just jiving with all of you. So thank you. One of the things I just wanted to touch on, and I thought it was so interesting that you presented, Emma, was the Milky Way music and how they took, was a vision,
Light waves.
light waves and made them
It's
into
sound.
sound waves.
Yeah.
And it just shows, and it just, the whole, the music that it created just touched me so, and it was so beautiful. And it's just so interesting to see that we're so harmonized with nature, like more than we even know. I think the more we're able to translate some things that are going on with the energy of nature, it's just, you know, beautiful how I think one thing, how Jonathan and Emma were saying, well, the water feels good. And that kind of does. That means you're kind of away from your desk, you're near this lake or ocean or something, and you're kind of with the waves and with, you know, the movement of the water, and usually a more relaxing place. But the fact that there's so much more that nature can share with us. And I just love that Milky Way, and that, you know, that brings us that much. It's just more proof. Like I had never heard the Milky Way. So it just shows more how the Milky Way can communicate with me in a way that touches me so, and that's just beautiful. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, I'm with you, Amy. Thank you so much. For me, it helps widen my perspective. Just, you know, come on. Life is so much bigger. Yeah, there's so much more.
You always think of sounds from space and you think of like these sort of Lovecraftian, like, you know, abyssal dark noises, and it's wind chimes. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Beautifully done. Beautiful.
There's also lightning and thunder, but you know, that's just another
and lightning
thing
and thunder, and yes, galactic storms and black holes. But wow, what a moment of reprieve.
Yeah.
And then we have the Milky Way. That's so beautiful and touching.
Yeah, we'll take that. We'll
Yeah.
take that. Anybody else before we wrap up today?
I would like to say something. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Disneyland, but I go like every weekend. But I just wanted to kind of,
I'm there right now.
yeah, I just wanted to talk about how like a lot of, you know, I mean, obviously they're a huge corporation, but they think about psychology and science and everything they do in their park. And when you go from one park to the next, the music changes very slightly into the next, you know, music, and you feel like you're in the park before, in the next like area of the park, before you even get there because of the music. And I've noticed it, but just from being on this Zoom today, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yes, when you go from one area to the next, it just changes your mood, and you like, you just have different feelings for each area. And I just wanted to share that. It's just incredible what music and sounds can do in anywhere.
Boy, Autumn, I love that. And I love that you brought that up, because we can use music to help us with transitions. You're talking about that transition point of moving from one thing to another, right? And the music helps you go into the next piece. And so I love that. I love that. Thank
It
you.
can be for so many different things too. Like I was sorry, I talk a lot sometimes. When you're on your way to the gym, you play different music. When you're on your way to, go out with friends, you play different music. When you're, on your way to the grocery store, sometimes you play different music. There's just so many different ways of changing your mood and your vibe from music. And I was thinking about that the other day because there's certain music that I play when I'm on the way to the gym, and it just pumps you up. And but anyways,
Yeah. Yeah, and
thank
to
you
be
so
aware
much
of
for
it.
sharing it.
Yeah.
This was amazing. It made me have
You.
chills and happiness in 1 hour of a meeting.
That's lovely. It's
It did. It
lovely.
made me think of like, music, you think of music as having like an intention. Music is someone creates it for, the intention might not be such a solid thing, but people create music because they want people to hear music, right? They have something to say, they have something to share. But then you think about sound and I think about like war drums, and I think about nostalgia, and the walking into a Target and hearing a song that was popular when you were in high school and just immediately being brought back to that place, or hearing a song that reminds you of somebody, or hearing every now and then I'll hear Noodles bark. Like, you remember that noise and you'll just hear it and I'll just be like, huh, he's here, he's still here. But it's wild how that sits with you and that stays with you. And I think one of my biggest takeaways about all of this is about the real impact of sound, whether it's communication, whether it's talking to someone, whether it's sharing music with someone, whether it's recommending a television show to someone, whether it's giving someone feedback, right? It's all rooted in communicating with each other in some way or another. And all of that goes back to these vibrations and this sound. And I just don't think about it that way. And I really appreciate you bringing that to light. And I'm so excited to see the work that you continue to do in spreading the creative arts as a way to inspire people and to make them to feel confident, to make them feel like they have a better grasp on finding harmony within their own life.
Yes.
Emma, do you have any last words for us? Where can we follow you? Where can we keep up with what you're doing? Where can we learn more? This was a wonderful, wonderful hour. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, Adam, for inviting me, and Jonathan for stepping in, and everybody sharing this. It just means the world to me. You can subscribe. Livingasmusic.com is one of the URLs that gets you to my site. And it was really slow today for some reason. So if you have problems, just Emma-Laurence, LAURENCE.com. And you can subscribe and go on this journey with me, because it really is. And if you hear of anything that's really cool with science or art, or someone's doing something with sound, send it my way, because I'm just going into the exploration of all of this. And I think the big takeaway for me with all of this stuff is, let's stay uplifted and let's keep uplifting each other with sound. It's that joy, it's that telling someone you love them, it's the appreciation of the birds and the ocean waves and the music of the universe and all this, and just keep our hearts open and good vibes only, Jonathan. Yeah, exactly. Keep the good vibes going. Yeah, because it really helps all of us to sustain us, and we can always lean into the sound when we need to.
Well, I'm going to ride the good vibes from this meeting for the rest of my day, and I hope the rest of you do as well. Emma, thank you so much for taking the time to share what you know with us, to update us on what you're doing. I hope you will continue to keep us posted in the community. I hope we'll get to do another one of these where we hear how far you've come with your new venture, with your blog. I'll be sure to subscribe. I encourage everyone else to. Again, thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day today.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again, Emma. Thank you.
You're
Bye.
welcome.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.